Hello everyone, it's Loan Officer JT, and in today's video, I am going to share with you my thoughts and opinions of the proposed Joe Biden tax bill, how it compares to Donald Trump's, and should we be scared or should we be frolicking in the streets? Spoiler alert, your boy ain't scared. I don't even know where I stand on this. I think it's a great idea. Biden is proposing a 15% flat tax on corporations that generate over 100 million. Now, I don't know the nuances. I'm assuming 100 million in net. I love the idea. This is a great talking point. 15% flat tax to any company that's making over 100 million, right? I like this. This is like the Robin Hood and Little John, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. Not a bad idea. And the reason I say that is because Jeff Bezos has a 0% tax rate. Mark Zuckerberg has a 0% effective tax rate. Twitter, Starbucks, why are these huge worldwide global corporations not paying tax, but red-blooded Americans like me and you are forking the bill? So I love the idea. Now I will say this, I'm not a fan of doing that to small businesses because obviously you got to put your acorns back in, and that's the design of the tax code. Very few businesses would succeed if you couldn't have these breaks and actually inject that capital to grow the business. The rollback, this is a good talking point, and here's why. Because during the race, I recall Pence asking numerous times, if you roll back the current Trump administration's tax code, that would indeed mean an increase for the middle class taxes. So for me, this is actually a really interesting talking point because it's gray and nobody really knows, right? But one thing I do know is that the $50,000 to $200,000 earners are truly indeed the bread and butter for the IRS and the federal government. These are the folks, this is the backbone of America, right? It's not Jeff Bezos, it's not Mark Zuckerberg. Corporate rate tax hike. What's this all about? Well, not that confusing. Currently, Donald Trump has us at 21%. If you have an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, your bottom line, your net income, you're gonna pay 21% to the House. Uncle Sam's coming in, right? 21. Biden's proposing 28%, right? So simple math, if I made $100,000 net in my business, I would owe the Fed 28 G's. Now let's just put this into context. It wasn't that long ago Obama was president.
Yes, we can.
Do you remember what corporate taxes were then? 35%. Let's even dive a little deeper, just so we don't feel like we're getting robbed. The global average is what? 24, 25%. So I don't feel like this is the end of the world. And as a matter of fact, Joe Biden's kind of right there in the middle. I feel like Obama was too high. Yes, Trump was incredible for the businesses, but I'm not gonna lose a lot of sleep over the 28% proposed, and I'm sure that'll take place. Quick side note on that. Anytime the government increases taxes on corporations, this slows economic growth. Let me explain to you why everybody says this, because it's very simple. If I have a business and I have to pay more money to Uncle Sam, what if I need a dialer, right? What if I need a marketer? What if I need a marketing team, right? Anybody who runs a small business knows how important it is to get the right people in the right place, to get those trajectories, to build momentum. You got to put your acorns back in, especially getting off the ground, right? And if you're smart, you keep putting your acorns back in forever, like my boy Warren Buffett, who pays himself $250,000 a year because he refuses to pay taxes. And if anything, what else has he proven? If you're investing, think long term, right? Don't give your money to these guys if you don't have to. He won't pull it out. As a matter of fact, in his living trust, I bet you anything, his children and his grandchildren aren't allowed to touch that money either. 400,000. This is all that I heard throughout the whole race. If you make less than 400, you have nothing to worry about. Truth be told, based on all the stuff I'm reading, this is a fair statement. And I'll preface that with, if you're making 5, 6, 7, 800,000, you actually have nothing to worry about either. 37% is the current tax rate under the Trump administration. Biden's proposing at 39.6. So if you're above 400 in that tax bracket, it's not that big of a deal, okay? And then let me clear up some more confusion for a lot of people. If you're in a $400,000 tax bracket, that means that's your net income. So if you're making 5, 6, 7, 800 after your write-offs, mortgages, investments, so on and so forth, business, who knows, your net income after all your spending, if that's 400,000, you're subject to this tax. Keep in mind the margin too. So here's where things aren't, this is why people aren't afraid. If I made 500,000, that's only a $100,000 difference from 4, right? So I would only be subject to a 2.6% increase on $100,000 in earnings. So in reality, I would pay an additional what? $2,600? Not the end of the world, right? There's another little piece to this over 400,000, and that's Social Security. Currently, if you make up to, or currently you pay Social Security to what, 130 something, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but it's right around 130, 133. You pay Social Security, it's 12.6. I pay half, the employer pays the other half. Now, once you get to 230, 330, 400, you don't pay any, but after 400, you're back into that margin. So let's go back to my previous example. If I made 500, I would be subject to 12.6 additional tax for Social Security, half from the employer, half from me. The child tax credit. Now this is kind of neat. This is only for low income, but let me put this into perspective real quick. Currently, you have $1,050 for children or dependent, okay? They're proposing a $4,000 credit per dependent or child. Let me just paint a picture for you. There's a person who makes $40,000 a year, who owns a home, has maybe, let's say $7,000, $8,000 in interest, some taxes, some unreimbursed expenses, some mileage. So let's just say they're now in a $30,000 tax bracket or 28. Let's say they've got a couple, 2 or 3 kids. 4, 8, so now they're under that $22,000 net. They went from 22% tax bracket at $40,000 to 12% under 22. So I think that's pretty slick because it truly does indeed help the lower income households. I'm 100% for that. Kudos to Biden and his team for doing that one in my opinion. Here's a cool one. If you make a lot of money, this is definitely a talking point. And the first thing I thought of was my investor friends and people that are flipping real estate. This is an increase in capital gain tax from 20 to 40% on earners that make over $1 million. Okay, so if you're in the $1 million tax bracket, you're at 39.6, but roughly 40%. So Biden is saying that if you experience capital gains during or while this tax code is out, instead of paying 20 currently, you're gonna pay 40. So let me give you an example. Let's just say you get lucky, or this actually happens to a lot of people, but let's just say I did a real estate deal, right? And I made all this money. So what, I'm gonna give roughly half of it to the Fed and the IRS? This just doesn't, to me, this is a little far out. Let me know, what do you think in the comments? Are you with this? Are you against it? I know every investor's not gonna like this. It's a little far out to me, but again, let me know in the comments what you think about this one, because it's a great talking point. So they're gonna do a $15,000 tax write-off or incentive for first-time home buyers. Well, how does this work? It's a dollar for dollar write-off. So for simple math, let's just say a first-time home buyer goes and gets a $300,000 home, and they put 5% down. They have $15,000 injected or invested into the house. So if you make $100,000 with the new Biden tax plan, you're gonna be able to subtract that to 85, right? And then obviously you'll take your other deductions to get to your net. So this is actually a pretty cool tax incentive. This might stoke the fire, get some more people off the fence for real estate. Not that we necessarily need that, but by all means, remember, text me mortgage, I wanna get a house, I'll call you myself, okay? We won't take too long. Ooh. All right, so this is where Biden, okay, so these are the folks that have to watch out. This sounds good on paper, but truth be told, we all know that super rich people can always find workarounds with their CPAs and their estate attorneys. There's always a workaround. There's always tax shelters and places to put your money in investing so you're not subject to these crazy taxes, okay? But get a load of this, and I love it. And I think this is the right direction for Biden and his team for their whole narrative, all right? The 0.01 percenters, the Joe Montanas, we're not talking about the 0.1 percenters, the 0.01 percenters. If you net $3.6 million a year, congratulations, welcome to the club. You're a 0.01 percenter. So the Biden tax bill is proposing a 60% increase in tax. You wonder why rich people don't like Democrats, right? And why the market did enjoy Trump while he was there. I mean, let's not get this twisted. The market was warming up real good with Obama. He passed the baton to Trump. We've had a bull run in real estate and the markets like we've never seen before. This is the craziest thing ever, but you guys, listen to this. A 60% increase in tax on the 0.01 percenters. That would take them to 47% federal tax obligation. All right, are you with me? Does this sound crazy to you? But if you're like me and you know, this isn't scary either. And if you were actually subject to those taxes, you might just pump the brakes and wait a few years because old money's patient, right? You never sell at the bottom, ever, ever. You experience your gains at the top. And how do you time these things? You be patient and you think long term. In a nutshell, those are my thoughts and opinions of the Joe Biden's tax plan. What'd you think? If you're like me and you're interested in becoming extremely wealthy, you love real estate, you're all up in that finance game, you love life, you love yourself, and you know exactly what you want, you believe, and you're willing to do the dirty work, why don't you join my notification squad? Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell. You how the current bill compares to the previous, or it's actually holler at your boy. Holler at your boy. Hello everyone, it's Loan Officer JT.